You know how they say the human voice is the ultimate instrument?
Yeah, absolutely. The range, the emotion.
Exactly. It's capable of conveying, well, raw emotion, delicate nuance, incredible power. But what if the profound, almost magical secrets of beautiful singing, this timeless vocal art, what if that could completely transform how we play other instruments? Specifically the violin.
That's a fascinating question.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. The topic is the application of bel canto principles to violin performance.
Right.
It's this really fascinating monograph exploring how the age-old art of beautiful singing can breathe new life and expression into violin playing.
Yeah, it offers a path, really, to rediscover a truly distinctive individual tone, something maybe we've lost a bit.
Okay, so what's our mission here then?
Our mission is to uncover how these time-honored vocal techniques, things like, meticulous breath control, exquisite tone shaping, how they offer a clear roadmap for violinists.
A roadmap.
Yeah, it's about helping you recapture a lost quality of musical expression and find that unique signature sound that, well, at once defined the great masters.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Did you know that the earliest violins crafted centuries ago were actually designed to sound like the human voice? Imagine that. Instruments built specifically to emulate vocal qualities.
Wow. That really sets the stage, doesn't it?
It really does. So, okay, let's start with the basics. Let's define bel canto properly in its original vocal context.
Right. Well, authors on vocal literature, they pretty much describe it as the best in singing of all time.
The best. That's quite a claim.
It is. And it's not just, sounding pretty. It requires complete mastery to achieve, well, several things.
Like what?
Like immaculate cantilena.
Cantilena, that's that smooth singing line, right?
Exactly. Beautifully smooth, sustained melody, plus smooth legato. A beautiful sing tone with a full palette of colors.
A full palette.
And evenness of tone throughout the entire vocal range. And crucially, it's also about preserving the voice, vocal longevity, through these very techniques.
So it's technique and artistry combined for the long haul.
Precisely. It's a truly comprehensive approach.
Okay. So how does this connect to the violin?
Well, what's fascinating here is how directly this vocal ideal influenced the violin, like right from the beginning.
Really? From the start?
Yeah. For centuries, beautiful singing was the absolute model for violinists. Think about the Renaissance and early Baroque.
Yeah.
The music style then, the homophonic style, those melodious songs, arias. They had a tremendous influence, not just on the instruments before the violin, but on the actual luthiers, the people making the first violins.
So the violin makers were listening to singers?
Essentially, yes. They weren't just crafting wooden strings. They were actively trying to capture and embody a voice.
And this brings us back to that surprising fact you mentioned.
Right. The earliest known four-stringed violins. The ones by Andrea Amati and Gaspar da Santallo back in the 16th century. They were explicitly built to possess a tone that, quote, resembled the qualities of a human voice.
Wow. Explicitly.
Yes. Designed for characteristic soprano qualities. They even had this especially attractive register they called la chanterelle.
La chantereau, the little singer.
Kind of, yeah. It's almost as if they were trying to build a mechanical singer, imbued with that human vocal warmth.
That's incredible, but there's a but, isn't there?
There is. The monograph highlights a significant challenge today. It says, and I quote, "Today it has become more difficult to differentiate the tone of one violinist from another."
So less individuality.
Kind of. That individual quality of the singing tone, which was the hallmark of the Golden Age players, Ysaye, Chrysler, Heifetz, Minderhin, Oistrakh, all those legends.
Yeah.
That quality has, regrettably, the monograph says, deteriorated.
We've lost some of that.
Yeah.
That fingerprint, that personal voice.
It seems so. We've maybe lost some of that unique vocal fingerprint, that personal tonal identity.
So what's the core insight here for you, the listener, the violinist?
Well, the whole purpose of this deep dive really is to show how understanding and actually applying these bel canto principles, especially the ones about tone production, tone formation, breathing, resonance, vibrato, that tonal shading thing called Messa di Voce, managing range, blending positions, how all that can help you give your tone its unique, distinctive qualities back again. It's about finding your individual voice on the instrument.
Finding your voice.
Yeah.
Literally. Okay, so now that we've kind of glimpsed the history and the ideal of bel canto, the real challenge, I guess, and maybe the magic, it lies in translating these living, breathing vocal principles to well, to an inanimate object, the violin.
Right. How do we bridge that gap?
Exactly. How do we do that? Let's try to break down the human vocal system and draw some direct, hopefully compelling analogies to violin performance.
Sounds good. Okay, so first up in singing, we have what's called the moving power. That involves the lungs, the diaphragm, basically for storing air and controlling its passage.
Right, the air tank and control valve.
Sort of, yeah. Then there's the producing power, the larynx, the vocal cords, which creates the initial buzz tone. It's a really complex, coordinated system, breath-supporting vibration.
Okay, so how does that map onto the violin?
Well, for the violin, the analogy is incredibly clear, actually, and powerful. Your right hand and the bow. They play the direct role of the respiration system.
The whole right arm and bow.
Yes. The bow itself, in its movement, how it interacts with the string, it functions as the air column, or as the Monograph puts it, the breath.
The bow is the breath.
It's the engine. It initiates and sustains the sound, just like breath does for the voice.
Okay, so if the bow is the breath, what's the key takeaway from singing?
Right. This raises an important question. What's absolutely crucial for good vocal breathing?
Support.
Control. Yes, but underpinning that is relaxation.
Relaxation.
And the exact same thing applies directly to the violin. Excessive tension, especially in the bow, arm, and fingers, it just obstructs the natural flow of sound.
It obstructs the breath, basically.
Exactly. And physically, it actually produces lactic acid, which accumulates in the muscle. That leads to stiff muscles, and inevitably, it directly affects the quality of your tone.
So the core insight here for you, the violinist, is what?
Is that every bit of tension you hold in your bow arm isn't just uncomfortable, it's actively sabotaging the expressive potential that bel canto is all about. It's a direct block to achieving that singing quality.
It's fascinating how historical figures seem to get this intuitively. You mentioned Tourte.
Yeah, Tourte designed his bows back in the 1780s specifically for full balance and absolute control. Control over bow pressure, speed.
And his goal was?
His stated goal was to help violinists emulate bel canto singing.
Wow. And think about opera singers like Caruso. His legendary, beautiful singing depended on applying the exact amount of breath for his remarkable legato.
Precisely. It really highlights how fundamental this concept is, this controlled, relaxed breath, whether it's actual air or the movement of the bow.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. And Leopold Mozart, in his famous treatise, he also advised maintaining evenness of tone, maintained at all times, and producing tone with the minimum of energy for the maximum of efficiency.
Minimum energy, maximum efficiency. It sounds like good advice for anything.
Doesn't it? But here, it's not just about being lazy or mechanically efficient. It's about achieving an elegant, effortless sound, much like a perfectly sustained vocal line.
So the message is clear. Let your bow arm breathe freely.
And your violin sings.
Okay, so we've explored the breath of the violin, the bow arm. Now let's turn to where that sound really blossoms. The instrument's body, the resonance.
Right, and resonance is huge in singing. Marafiotti, a key vocal authority cited in the Monograph, calls resonance the most important factor in voice production.
The most important, why?
Because, he says, it furnishes the voice volume and quality and emphasizes its loudness. It's what gives a voice its richness, its carrying power, its unique character.
Okay, so connecting that to the violin.
Well, the violin body itself is obviously the primary chamber of resonance. That's where the sound truly blooms and takes on its character.
The sound box.
Exactly. But it's actually more dynamic than just that. The vibrations between the bow and the strings, they transmit in both directions back into the bow, up through the fingers.
Both directions?
Yes, which enhances the overall sound. And your bow arm's precise functions, how you handle the bow, they contribute to both crisp articulation and that beautiful warmth of tone. It acts almost like a secondary resonator system, or at least a way to influence the primary one.
That's interesting. And you mentioned Menuhin earlier.
Yes, there's a great quote from Yehudi Menuhin that captures this perfectly. He advised violinists to achieve greater sensitivity, to hold the bow so lightly that we can feel the vibrations of the string in the stick.
Feel the vibrations in the stick.
Yeah, that's a true connection, feeling the resonance right through your hand, almost like your hand becomes part of the vibrating system itself, not clamping down, but receiving.
Connecting to the resonance. Okay, next up, timbre, tone color. That's what makes one voice sound different from another, even singing the same note.
Exactly. Think of it as the signature sound. Technically, it's created by the co-mixture of fundamental and overtones.
The fundamental pitch plus all those higher, subtle harmonics.
Right. It's that unique blend that gives a voice its specific signature.
So how do we control that on the violin? How do we paint with sound color?
In violin performance, this tone color, this timbre, it comes from a delicate interplay. It's a combination, really.
A combination of what?
Of your bowing technique, carefully considering pressure, speed, the exact contact point on the string, all those right-hand variables, and your left-hand fingers, particularly precise intonation being perfectly in tune, and your use of vibrato.
Vibrato comes in here too.
Definitely. All these elements directly influence the production of those crucial overtones. And as a result, that's what shapes the violin's timbre, its unique voice, its color.
Okay, let's talk more about vibrato then. It's obviously essential for singing. Adds life, warmth.
Absolutely. It gives life, vibrancy, buoyancy to the tone. But it's not just any wobble. It's about a correctly produced and precisely timed undulation. It adds warmth, emotional depth, shimmer.
So for the violin, how does that translate mechanically?
For the violin, it's your distal phalanges.
Fancy word for fingertips.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Your fingertips create these subtle, rapid pitch fluctuations.
You mentioned the Golden Age violinists earlier.
Right. They were particularly known for their individual vibrato. It became a real distinctive quality, much like a singer's unique voice. You could often tell who was playing just from their vibrato.
Their personal tonal fingerprint.
Exactly.
And didn't Heifetz say something about that?
He did. Heifetz famously stated that by the vibrations and modulations of the notes, one may recognize the violinist as easily as we recognize the singer by his voice.
Wow. That really drives home how personal, how identifiable vibrato can be. It's a direct reflection of the musician's artistry. Their soul, almost.
Absolutely. But this raises an important question for players today.
Which is?
Well, while some 20th century teachers, like Babitz, argued for using vibrato constantly on basically every note.
This sort of default setting.
Kind of, yeah. But other historical figures like Geminiani, way back, did not advocate for such a constant presence.
So what does Bel Canto suggest?
Bel Canto principles actually allow for and encourage a wide, nuanced range of vibrato qualities. The Monograph lists them. Sweet, brilliant, delicate, large, keen, hard, harsh, and blind.
Wow, that's quite a palette.
Isn't it? And each one is used for specific expressive effect, not just applied automatically.
So the insight here for you, the listener, is that vibrato isn't just an on-off switch.
Exactly. It's a choice. It's a color on your expressive palette. A vital tool for interpretation, not just an obligation or a constant shimmer.
Okay, this is all fascinating. Breath, resonance, color, vibrato. But how does it all come together for that truly singing tone?
Well, that brings us to a cornerstone Bel Canto technique, something absolutely central. The Messa di Voce.
Messa di Voce. Heard the term. What does it actually mean?
Literally, it means placing of the voice, but it's beautifully described in the source material as a swell, bud, sprouting, and unfolding.
Poetic.
It is. Essentially, it's a single sustained tone that starts softly, gradually crescendos to its peak intensity, and then gracefully decrescendos back to a soft dynamic.
All on one note.
All on one note, and crucially for singers, all in a single, unbroken breath. It's this continuous arch of sound, full of life and control.
And this was important in Bel Canto.
Hugely important, central, really, from the 1600s onwards. It enabled the greatest castrato singers, apparently, to sustain a tone for over a minute with incredible dynamic control.
Over a minute. Wow. So how does this apply to the violin? We don't use breath.
True, but the principles translate directly using the bow. The Monograph lists 5 basic principles for executing Messa di Voce in singing, and they map perfectly.
Okay, what are they?
First, start the tone softly, avoid any harshness, any grabbing the sound.
Gentle start, got it.
Second, conserve your breath, which for us means your bow pressure and speed. Gradually exhale, using small amounts of bow. Don't waste it all at the beginning.
Conserve the bow, makes sense.
Third, produce a luscious and mellow tone, especially during the decrescendo, the fading part. Maintain quality even as it gets softer.
Quality on the way down. Okay. Fourth, maintain absolutely pure pitch throughout the entire swell and diminish. No wavering.
Rock solid intonation.
And finally, fifth, control the bow and tone. Technique must serve the music, not the other way around. Don't let the difficulty dictate the musical shape.
Control is key. Music first. Okay, those seem applicable.
Absolutely. And this aligns perfectly with advice from people like Leopold Mozart again. He detailed specific bow strokes for this kind of nuanced control.
Like what?
He talked about achieving a smooth, even, and uninterrupted flow of the tone. He emphasized keeping the bow parallel to the bridge and regulating bow pressure with the index finger. Fine control.
Index finger pressure. Yes. He even advises pressing the bow lightly but steadily and starting the tone delicately, that word again, to get that vocal-like quality.
So the implication for you listening is that this isn't just some fancy advanced trick.
Not at all. It's a fundamental way to shape a truly expressive note, to make a single pitch into a musical event.
And there's another connection here, right? To painting.
Oh, yes. What's truly fascinating here is how Quantz, the flutist and theorist, writing way back in 1752, he brilliantly connected Messa di Voce to the artistic concept of chiaroscuro in painting light and shadow.
Light and shadow in music.
Exactly. He suggested using these crescendo and diminuendo effects like half tints to express light and shadow in music. For him and many others, it was indispensable for good musical execution. It allowed for incredible dynamic and emotional range within just one sustained note.
So it's like painting with sound, giving a note dimension.
Perfectly put. Indeed, this technique is often called the soul of music. It directly reflects the innermost feelings and enlivening expressions of a musical composition. It's about infusing a single note with profound emotion, telling a story within that note.
But do people still use it much?
Well, the Monograph unfortunately notes that many contemporary performers either misinterpret it or neglect it altogether.
What happens then?
You get what the Monograph calls dynamic instability instead of that sustained, beautiful, expressive arch. Just getting loud or soft, maybe abruptly, without the smooth shape.
So if you want to elevate your single notes, make them really speak.
Messa di Voce is your guide. It's a powerful tool.
Okay, moving on. Singers also have to deal with different registers, right? Like chest voice, head voice.
Exactly. And a key part of bel canto mastery is blending those different vocal registers smoothly, effortlessly, without any noticeable breaks or changes in quality.
Seamless transitions.
Precisely. And violinists can apply very similar principles to achieve seamless singing transitions between different positions on the fingerboard.
Shifting positions. That can sound clunky sometimes.
It can. But the goal here is to make those shifts sound fluid and vocal, avoiding those abrupt jumps or awkward slides, making it part of the melodic line.
So how did they achieve that in the bel canto tradition or its violin equivalent?
Well, it involves what the Monograph calls old-school techniques, specifically portamento.
Portamento.
The audible slide.
Yes, the expressive sliding finger. And also glissando, which is often seen as a more technical, faster slide.
But weren't these just ways to get between notes?
In this context, no. They weren't merely mechanical shifts. They were intended as expressive devices. They were used intentionally to carry the tone, to bridge intervals with a smooth, truly vocal quality.
Carrying the tone, like a singer holding the sound through the interval.
Exactly. Making the music sing through the transitions. Think of them as vocalized, but for your fingers.
So is there a specific technique for this old-school portamento?
Yes, the old-school technique, as taught by masters like Menuhin, Marsic, Schmider, it focused on very specific physical things.
By keeping the thumb relatively fixed or moving it minimally during the slide, applying stronger finger pressure than you might think, and using the fleshy pads of the fingers.
Stronger pressure, why?
To maintain a consistent, uninterrupted tone during the slide, it wasn't about a quick, silent jump. It was a deliberate tonal journey connecting the musical thought from one note to the next.
A tonal journey, I like that.
And Ricci, another great pedagogue, added an interesting point. He emphasized that applying vibrato during these transitions, during the portamento.
Vibrato during the slide.
Yes. It could actually help prevent stiffness of the left hand, so it contributes to both the ease of movement and the overall expressive quality of the slide.
So it helps physically and musically.
Right. It supports the mechanics while enhancing the musical outcome, creating a truly unified singing sound through the shift.
So what's the practical takeaway here for you, the learner? Because, I mean, audible portamento isn't always encouraged today, is it?
That's true. Modern violin pedagogy sometimes discourages or even forbids an obvious audible portamento. Taste changes. Right.
But understanding its historical roots and its profound expressive purpose, especially through this bel canto lens, really reveals its value. Even if you use it subtly or sparingly, Knowing why it exists enriches the violin's tonal palette.
It's about knowing the possibilities.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond what the Monograph calls jerky movements, those abrupt shifts, to create truly connected, singing phrases. Phrases that honor the vocal tradition that birthed the violin's expressive potential, even if you adapt the technique for modern ears. It's about connection. #outro.
Wow. We've really covered a lot of ground today. We've gone on quite the journey exploring how this profound vocal art, bel canto, offers truly timeless principles that you as a violinist can embrace.
It's been fascinating to connect the dots.
Yeah, from understanding the bow as the very breath of the instrument.
And the violin body as its resonating voice.
To mastering the nuance of the Messa di Voce.
That expressive swell and achieving those seamless singing transitions between registers or positions. These insights, they really do illuminate a clear path, I think, to restoring a truly singing quality to the violin.
Absolutely. And applying these principles we've discussed in this deep dive, it isn't just about history or some academic exercise.
No, it feels very practical.
It is. It's about providing you, the listener, with concrete, practical ideas to profoundly enhance your tonal palette and your expressive capabilities.
Tools for your musical toolbox.
Exactly. It's a way to help you unlock your instrument's full, distinctive voice and maybe overcome some of those persistent technical obstacles that can sometimes hinder truly vocal playing.
Finding your sound, like we said earlier.
Finding your unique sound.
So as you continue your own musical journey, or maybe your learning journey, here's a final provocative thought to consider. If those Golden Age masters found their unique, recognizable voices by internalizing these bel canto ideals, what specific quality that we talked about today? Maybe it's the seamless arch of Messa di Voce, or perhaps the nuanced palette of vibrato colors, or even just the feeling of the bow as breath. What one quality will you consciously seek to embody in your playing, say, this week? How will you use that focus to truly start unlocking your instrument's distinctive singing voice?